The fallout continues from the 11-page indictment against Pope Francis. President Trump goes after high-tech media, the people that are censoring conservatives, and CNN once again has egg all over its face. We should just call it the CNN omelet. Tastes nasty. I'm Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. Welcome to the program, friend. We're going to talk about some pretty intense things tonight, and I want to start by reading the entire original version of the Serenity prayer. Many of us are familiar with the short term, or the shortened version of the Serenity prayer. It goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. There are many people who rightly use this prayer, and there are many people who wrongly use it. And by that I mean, oftentimes we look for an excuse to not do something. Hey, there's nothing I can do, I just got to accept it. Or worse, they say, well, everything that happens is God's will. On its face, that statement is foolishness. Otherwise, why did Jesus teach us to pray, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven? There are things happening on earth that are not God's will. This doesn't take a major theologian to figure out. And it doesn't have to do with the sovereignty of God, so we'll deal with that on another occasion. Dietrich Bonhoeffer fought against Adolf Hitler. Dietrich Bonhoeffer was ultimately executed for his part in one of the assassination plots against Hitler. Reinhold Niebuhr is the German theologian who wrote the original Serenity prayer, and he had a heavy influence on Dietrich Bonhoeffer. In other words, Bonhoeffer was an activist. Bonhoeffer was safe in America and decided to go back to Germany to stand against Hitler. So he clearly felt that he had things in front of him that he could change. He just needed courage. So let me read to you the original entire prayer, and then we're going to talk about some of these things that are in the news. God, give us grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be changed, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish the one from the other, living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking, as Jesus did, this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. What an incredibly beautiful prayer. There's so much theology packed into that. I want to simply focus on, let's even go to the shortened version. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. The crisis right now with Pope Francis regarding this 11-page indictment from Archbishop Vigano. There are things that the faithful can do, both Catholic and Protestant, Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox. There are things that can be done. So when someone says, there's nothing I can do about it, stop. That's not true. The faithful can raise their voice. The faithful can call upon Pope Francis to resign. The faithful can call upon the bishops that covered up McCarrick's crimes and misdeeds to resign. The faithful can ask the bishops, what did you know? When did you know it? And what did you do? We can change what's going on. The Catholic Church, the entire church, is in a deep crisis in America especially, around the world, but in America especially. And this crisis revolves around the sins of silence. If you've ever seen the movie A Man for All Seasons, you will remember the line towards the end when St. Thomas More is being tried for his life, and they're yelling at him saying, you haven't said a word about the king's assertion that he is the head of the church. You haven't said a word. And he said, the law requires that you assume that silence equals assent. If you don't say anything, the law presumes that you assent, you agree to whatever is going on. So if you see something happening in front of you and you just sit there and you let it happen, you're silent, the law assumes that you agreed. You have to have evidence that you stood against it. So there are people that say, oh, we don't need to worry about if bishops who didn't say anything. Excuse me? Silence means assent. So we have a right to know. We have to stand up right now because there is a crisis in the Roman Catholic Church, especially regarding homosexual clergy, priests and bishops. The studies that I have read, the data that I have read is horrifying. The percentage of priests and bishops who have homosexual tendencies or who are active homosexuals. And that's what the McCarrick crisis is all about. Now, as I mentioned to you, the mainstream press is not going to go after the Pope on this one. And the reason is because Vigano's statement says that the issue is homosexuality in the priesthood and with bishops. The media wants this to be about pedophilia, a crime, sexual crimes against children, which is clearly a crime and needs to be addressed. But the crisis is the homosexual clergy who are then having sex with one another and with other men, or who are seducing boys. 81% of the victims in the cases that we know involve males, all right? But the homosexual community, homosexual activists, pro-homosexual media, they do not want to have this discussion that homosexual behavior is aberrant behavior, that it is sinful behavior, that it involves a crisis of conscience, that it involves something abnormal, unholy, unhealthy, self-destructive. They don't want to have this discussion. We've come so far in this insanity that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, in most states, or many states, it was still a criminal act for two men to have a sexual relationship with each other, and the Supreme Court upheld that law. We've come from where it was considered a psychosis, something wrong. I can't remember the exact name that they use in psychology, so forgive me, but one of the big five or one of the big six, it was considered a disease of the mind with an outworking in sexual practices. To now saying you can be married. You can sue someone if they won't make a wedding cake for you for your homosexual marriage. And any of us who speak against homosexual behavior, we're the problem. That's how much things have been turned on their head. It is our responsibility to accept what cannot be changed and to have the courage to change what can. And if we think that this crisis, there's just nothing we can do to stop it, we're wrong. We're deceived. And that's the crisis with this prayer. There are people who don't want the courage to change what can be changed. Because having the courage means you actually have to fight. And fighting means getting wounded, getting slandered, having people dismiss you, cast your name out as evil, separate you from their company, say all manner of evil against you falsely. Oh, wait. That's from the Beatitudes. That's Jesus saying, rejoice in that day and leap for joy. Great is your reward in heaven. I've got to take a break. We will talk about Donald Trump, and I've got some really interesting facts. President Trump recently went after Facebook, Google, and I am falling victim right now in real time. I'll tell you about it. Don't go away. Warrior guitars. Without question, the best guitar I've ever played, heard, or seen is a Warrior. The owner of Warrior, Jay Dran, has an incredible testimony of redemption and healing. God gave him the vision to start Warrior Guitars and a passion to make the best guitars in the world. They only make about 120 guitars a year, each one by hand. Maybe one of them could be yours, or a once-in-a-lifetime gift for someone you love.
The one thing that I can tell you is this is the most finely crafted guitar I have ever held. I've played a lot of guitars, I own a lot of guitars, and although the quality is exceptional on all of them, This is by far the most finely crafted instrument I own or have ever played. And I'm glad I own it.
Contact my friends at Warrior Guitar. Tell them Randall Terry sent you. Welcome back to the program, friend. We're going to kind of meld 2 or 3 stories here, as I'm known to do. You've probably heard that the president's former attorney, Cohen, had said that he knew that President Trump knew about the meeting with the Russians and that they were going to meet and get dirt on Hillary, and the networks went wild with this. And then finally, Lanny Davis, Cohen's attorney, who was the secret source, went on CBS and went on CNN and said, no, it's not true. We told CBS, this is not true. We cannot confirm that he knew. It was all a lie. Now, what did CBS do? They spent enormous amounts of time on TV. Did they on TV say that it was false? Nope. Did CNN, that spent heaven knows how many hours telling a lie, did they make it front and center? We really messed up. We were wrong. We misled the American people. Nope. They're liars, all right? You have to understand, they are liars. They hate Donald Trump. They are happy to promote a lie. And when they're caught in the lie, they're happy to not correct the lie. Because the mission with truth or lies is to destroy Donald Trump. They don't care. They're evildoers. They are God haters. They are homosexual activists. They are child killers by abortion. Do you understand? These are wretched people who need Jesus, who need salvation, all right? But they would even scoff at that. They're just evildoers. They really are. So, all right, keep that over here. President Trump went after Twitter, Facebook, Google, and said they're censoring conservatives. They're censoring Republicans. Now come to my personal story, and then I'm going to read to you this summary from a big news story. We have had portions of What Would Muhammad Do and trailers for the new movie coming out, Muhammad in his own words. We've had these things up for months, sometimes years. Last night, we got a message from Google that one of our trailers for the original series, What Would Muhammad Do, was flagged as inappropriate, but it was so egregious as hate speech that they said this counts as 1 strike. And if you have 3 strikes, it's within 30 or 90 days or something, that they will totally shut down my channel. If I have 2 more strikes, they will shut down my channel. Now, this stuff has been up there forever. Now, so you understand, I'm a scholar in this stuff. And by scholar, what I mean is the definition of a scholar is someone who has postgraduate work in a specific field, okay? I have a master's degree in international terrorism. And the thousands of hours that I have spent studying international terrorism is usually in Islamic terrorism, and particularly in the life of Muhammad and the first generation of Muslims. I'm a scholar in this stuff. I just hear the facts, people. It's available to anyone who wants to spend time doing the research. So I emailed them and I said, I'm appealing this. I am a researcher. I have a master's degree in international terrorism. I'm being targeted. I'll keep you posted. But this is nothing more or less than somebody inside of Google, maybe a Muslim, maybe somebody who's terrified of Christianity, hates Christianity, and hates Christianity so much that they would just soon take me out because I'm standing up for Christ and against the threat of Islam. And they're poisoning themselves to cancel my channel. So you've got this thing going on with CNN and CBS telling a falsehood about Donald Trump. Here's what and they're going to shut down my channel, which I'm small potatoes. I get that. But listen to this. All right. Now I'm going to read you from the story. Go ahead and put those words up on the screen. Twitter leads in censorship. And this comes from a huge study done by MRC. All right. This is the executive summary you can see. This is the executive summary. Twitter leads in censorship. Project Veritas recently had caught Twitter staffers admitting on camera that they had been censoring conservatives through a technique known as shadow banning, where users think that their content is getting seen widely, but it's not. The staffers had justified it by claiming the accounts had been automated if they had words such as America and God. Stop the presses. Come back to me. So you've heard of Project Veritas. These are people who catch villains with cameras telling the truth, all right? So you've got Twitter employees, maybe executives, saying, yeah, we're censoring them. And we have an automated censor mechanism that if we see the word America or God, we censor them. This is demonic. Do you understand? This is evil. God, grant me the courage to change the things that I can. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have yelled that prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. All right, let's go back. In 2016, Twitter had attempted to manipulate election-related tweets using the hashtags Podesta emails or DNC leak. The site also restricts pro-life ads from Live Action, and even Representative Marsha Blackburn, she's running for the Republican, she's running as a Republican for the U.S. Senate here in Tennessee, or there in Tennessee, but allows Planned Parenthood advertisements. This is censorship. It's demonic-based, demonic-motivated, evil, God-hating. I mean, these are people who are evildoers. And here's the crisis, friends. I got to take a break. I'm way over my time. The crisis is they control the flow of information. You've got CBS and CNN broadcasting lies, wholesale lies, and then you've got people, there are millions, tens of millions of people now that go to social media for their news. They're being lied to as well. So we're seeing the truth being choked out. I've got to take a break. Please stay with me. I'll be right back and continue reading from this story. Have Muslim terrorists hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam? Or is there more to the story? The answer lies in the life of one man, Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Muslim terrorists see themselves inside a 1,400-year-old story, a narrative that focuses on specific events in the life of Muhammad. We are going to look at Muhammad's life using their most sacred literature. We will look at Muhammad at the Battle of Badr. We'll see him deal with those who mock him. We'll see the times when he used deception. We'll witness Muhammad's anti-Semitism. And yes, we will discuss Muhammad and his teachings concerning sex, slavery, and jihad. Friend, if you want to understand Islamic terrorism, get this series today. The data here is so damning against Google, YouTube, Twitter, that I have to actually read to you the executive summary of this study done by MRC. All right? I continue. Facebook trending feed has been hiding conservative topics. A 2016 Gizmodo story had warned of Facebook's bias. It had detailed claims by former employees that Facebook's news curators had been instructed to hide conservative content from the trending section, which supposedly only features news users find compelling. Topics that had been blacklisted included Mitt Romney, the Conservative Political Action Conference, and Rand Paul. On the other hand, the term Black Lives Matter had also been placed into the trending section, even though it was not actually trending. Facebook had also banned at least one far-right European organization, but did not release information on any specific statements made by that group that warranted the ban. Facebook canceled my account. Gone, obliterated, with all my thousands of followers gone. Google search aids Democrats. Google search aids Democrats. Google and YouTube's corporate chairman Eric Schmidt had assisted Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign. The company's search engine had deployed a similar bias in favor of Democrats. One study had found 2016 campaign searches were favored and biased in favor of Hillary Clinton. Even the liberal website Slate had revealed the search engine's results had favored both Clinton and Democrat candidates. Google also had fired engineer James Damore for criticizing the company's ideological echo chamber. The company had claimed he had been fired for advancing harmful gender stereotypes in our workplace. Damore is suing Google, saying it mistreats whites, males, and conservatives. Here's one that affects me directly. Should we take a quick break here? All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll tell you one that is also affecting me. Friends, I'm going to do my best to have the courage to change what we can change. All right? And you and I need to pray that prayer. God, give us the courage to change what we can. I'll be right back.
What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700 or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Friend, we have a series that will help you and those you love to have an impact on this country. It's called Insurrecta Nex. That's Latin for revolution against the killing of innocent people. This is the history, the philosophy, and the theology of social revolution in America. We look at the Stamp Act, the Boston Tea Party, the abolition of slavery, the abolition of child labor, women's voting rights, the civil rights movement. All of them have this in common: courage, sacrifice, dedication, and in-your-face tactics and rhetoric. That's one of the reasons that we've been losing the culture wars the last 40 years, is because the bad guys are using these tactics and we aren't. We will send you this 14-part TV series along with these manuals for students, a teacher's facilitator guide for only $40. Go to 304-289-3700, 304-289-3700.
Welcome back, friend. Thank God for Rush Limbaugh. Thank God for Sean Hannity, for their radio shows especially. Michael Savage, Mark Levin. Friends, they are right now, in shows like this, last bastion. You need to understand the major networks are rabid dogs, and the huge social media people, they are rabid dogs against righteousness and against truth. I continue. YouTube is shutting down conservative videos. Google's YouTube site had created its own problems with conservative content. YouTube moderators must take their cues from the rest of Google, from shutting down entire and conservative channels by mistake to removing videos that promote right-wing political views. YouTube's special Creators for Change section is devoted to people using their, quote, voices for social change, close quote, and even highlights the work of a 9/11 truther. The site's very own YouTube page and Twitter account celebrate progressive attitudes, including uploading videos about inspiring gay and trans people and sharing the platform's support for DACA. Here's a big one. Tech firms are relying on groups that hate conservatives. So they're letting God haters, people who hate Christianity, hate pro-life activists, they're letting them determine what's hate speech and who to trust. Top tech firms like Google, YouTube, and Twitter partner with leftist groups attempting to censor conservatives. These include the Southern Poverty Law Center and Anti-Defamation League. Both groups claim to combat hate, but treat standard conservative beliefs in faith and family as examples of that hatred. George Soros-funded ProPublica is using information from both radical leftist organizations to attack conservative groups such as Jihad Watch and Act for America. All right, I know Robert Spencer, he's a friend of mine. Jihad Watch is a gift from God to freedom. Bullying PayPal and other services to shut down their funding sources. The SPLC's anti-LGBT list has also been used to prevent organizations from partnering with Amazon Smile to raise funds. I'm out of time. We just have to understand that truth is under attack and that these monsters at CBS, at CNN, at Google, at YouTube, at Facebook, they are the monster, the evildoers, and they're trying to silence people like me, and they're doing it. We've got to fight back.
you.